Oh, there we go. It didn't show live yet, that's why. Hey, guess what? Guess who wasn't live? The Sharks! Oh, 10 minutes without a shot on goal in the second period? Oh, and guess what? Mike Brown takes a penalty that leads to a third period power play goal. Oh, what a shocker. Welcome to this edition of Pucknology After Dark following a 5-2 Sharks loss to the Carolina Hurricanes. I am Puck Guy 14. You can follow us on Twitter at PuckGuy14, at Pucknology, at AJ_Strong, at I Read Pucknology, wake up Ian,
I'm
at
Wick.
J Alexander 46. You can also use the hashtag Pucknology After Dark to ask questions or comment, or if you're on the YouTube page, you can definitely use the chats below. All right, that being said, let's introduce everybody. Running the show tonight from his computer, the almighty Chris JWS.
You can call me JWS Chris too, I guess, if you really want
Yeah,
to.
he's
But
right.
yes, the Almighty is all that really matters, though.
No, yes. We'll see. I was going with the J because J Alexander's on. Gentry, good evening to you, sir.
Hi, having
Hi.
mic issues
Uh,
in more than one ways. I was having mic issues, and then I'm having Mike Brown issues. So,
nah, I think we all are. From beautiful Ontario, Canada, Ian Reed.
Hey, what's going on? Everything's awesome. Don't worry, we're good.
Remain calm. All is well.
Everything's awesome.
And
everything is
I don't know
awesome.
if AJ's there or not. Maybe, maybe not. All right. I'm
He's
guessing not.
somewhere.
He's
He's just
somewhere.
here so he doesn't get fined.
Yeah, he's just here to
Jeez.
take up some much needed ice time. That 5 whole minutes, and then he'll be gone because he makes all of us feel safe.
Yeah,
He is the teddy bear of Pucknology After Dark, indeed.
Yes, he
the warm
is.
fuzzy bear. Yes.
I'm just here to skate for 2 minutes and take a penalty.
There you go. So we'll begin. Chris, I'll begin with you. Good evening, good sir. Hope you're doing well. Your initial thoughts on a 5-2 Sharks loss to Carolina was a trap game, and but they pretty much got owned tonight.
Yeah, and I've heard a lot of people talk about the back-to-back, but Carolina was also on a back-to-back. The Sharks actually got in last night to the airport before the Hurricanes did, so no excuses there. It was a flat effort tonight. I mean, there were moments they looked good early on. They were surging at a few points, but especially in the second, I think I forget what the shots were, something like 19-6 or something ridiculous. But they didn't have their legs in the middle of the game there to the end, and it showed up. And it happens. Like it's not the end of the world. They're gonna have some bad games. They're 2-1 on the road trip. All they need is one more to have a winning road trip, and that's a successful road trip. So, life will go on.
All right. Gentry, good evening to you, sir. What did you think?
Oh, as my lower third says, I had Skinner on my fantasy team. So other than that, I mean, it was. I thought it was, for the first, for the
Take a wild
first
guess who he's playing this week, folks.
Looks like someone's gonna be buying me lunch. No, I thought like for the first part of the game it was solid. I mean, other than that Pavelskian kind of deflection that led to the first goal, I thought the Sharks they answered back, and I thought that they were playing a good solid game, and then it just fell apart later on. I think maybe their legs just got tired from doing back to back. So, I mean, this isn't the worst. It wasn't like they weren't in it for the most part. They just at some point they got exhausted. I mean, 3 games in 4 nights. I mean, any it will do that to you. So no need to panic. No need to trade Marlowe. But I do say get rid of Mike Brown.
Yeah,
You realize
Mike
now that you
Brown.
said that a certain writer's going to be like, "Oh my gosh, rumor, trade Marlowe, Marlowe, Marlowe."
Well, if you're using me as a credible source, you are not a journalist at all. That like I could sit there and say Joe Thornton traded for a Wetzel Pretzel and a first round pick from the OHL. I mean, if that is quoted, we have no journalistic integrity here.
Patrick Marleau and Matt Nieto for PK Subban.
Boy,
Hold on,
I would jump on that in a heartbeat. All right, Ian,
let
good
me
evening
get
to
my
you.
pipe because that's a dream. Go.
Yes. Ian, good evening to you, sir.
Good evening.
What did you think tonight?
It was one of those games where even after the first goal, I wasn't horribly upset. I got more annoyed as the game went on. I thought the Sharks came out to a good start. You can't really fault Jones on that goal. It just kind of, went in 30 different directions before going into the net, so you can't really fault him there. And, it really wasn't until that second goal I really didn't like that second goal, and that's kind of where things kind of started going downhill for me. On this game, I soured on it very quickly. At first, I was like, it's whatever. The Sharks came out good, and Carolina got a lucky goal, and then it kind of went downhill from there.
Yeah, you can kind of tell early on that it just didn't have that good vibe like the Sharks had been playing with. Oh gosh, I just saw the 2-1 goal. Yeah, that was the right there you knew that it was going to be a rough night. But they just seem to be off their game, out of it, and this is against a team that had to clear customs and fly from Ottawa to North Carolina. Meanwhile, the Sharks would probably be I would think it's like the equivalent to going from San Jose to LA, perhaps.
Not even that far. Maybe. Barely even that. But yeah.
It just seemed like they weren't in it, and that's going to happen. I mean, this team has been great on the road this year. You got to give them credit for that. They have 19 or 20 road wins this year. It's 20, right? I want to say it's 20, but I mean you got
20, yes.
I mean you're gonna have a dud on the road, and I think it's a little more acceptable to have a dud on the road than it is at home. And again, Carolina, yeah, they're out of the playoff picture, but they're still battling for a playoff spot. It's not
they're just out. I think what they say they're 2 points out now.
2 points out now. So
yeah, they're in the hunt. So it's not like they've lost a horrible team or something.
Right. It's not like they lost to Toronto or Minnesota. Oh, sorry, Vancouver. But what did you guys take from it? Let's put it this way: there was an issue whether or not we should start Martin Jones. Do we regret that, and maybe should have put Stalock in to have extra rest for Jones?
I mean, that's easy to say with the benefit of hindsight, I guess. Yeah, I mean, obviously, Stalock was, it wasn't a good idea to put Jones in with the benefit of hindsight. I don't blame DeBoer for putting Jones in for this game. I probably, if I'm sitting in DeBoer's shoes, I probably would have done the exact same thing. I mean, how much faith does anybody watching, listening right now has in Alex Stalock? Because I have zero left, none.
Gentry?
You're muted.
Sorry. In hindsight, I'd say you should have given Jones the rest because I know that we're only 3 points back of the Kings for the division lead, and then we're a point down from the Ducks for the second in the division.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
we blew our game in hand.
Yeah, but you still have got to give Jones some rest. You don't want to Nabok off him, into the playoffs where he goes in starting, 70-plus games and he's exhausted. I'd say if you don't have that much faith in Stalock, then do something about it. Don't
Yeah.
don't just sit there and run Jones into the ground to the point where he's not fresh and he's not ready. So if it's not, then you bring up Grosnick or Dell or you move Staylock. You know.
Well, and that leads to a great question to you guys. Well, Chris and AJ, I'll let you talk about this first, and then we'll follow it up.
Well, as far as Stalock goes, I tweeted at some point before the game. I think I did, but that good or bad, they really should have started Stalock because even without hindsight, like really they can't wear him out. And back to back is like the one time you really like if there's one time Stalock should really get a start every time, it's got to be on the back to back. Like we can't we can't run Martin Jones out there some 60-something games. It's getting to be too much. So I would have started Stalock and expected the worst. And in hindsight, that definitely would have been the right move because the team in front of him plays like that, they probably lose 10-2. So, it AJ's favorite phrase, it is what it is. And it looks like we lost Eric there. AJ, did you want to chime in, or are you just sitting in the back there throwing paper planes?
Just here throwing shade.
Yeah, he's just here to put out his 5 minutes and collect a paycheck. Speaking of 5 minutes and collecting a paycheck, Mike Brown was in tonight. I guess Sharks have never heard of red eye flights, and there's there's a couple guys down in the Barracuda currently tearing it up. We knew around 8 p.m. yesterday that Wingles was probably a no-go. Probably earlier than that, really, because he didn't come back into the game. So they could have gotten a guy out there. I guess I can understand why they might just opt Mike Brown because it's just easier. But, yeah, I don't know. He actually played 9 minutes tonight, though, which is, if I had to look up his season high in minutes, that's probably pretty close. What were your guys' thoughts on the whole Brown situation?
I mean, you got exactly what you should have expected. You got a possession black hole. You got some dumb penalties, and yeah, I mean, you I don't know why we expected anything different after his 9-game hiatus. He's been gone for 9 games for a reason. He's not good enough to be in this lineup anymore. He wasn't good enough earlier in the year, but injuries kind of forced the Sharks' hands. And, I agree completely. I think the Sharks should have absolutely called up somebody else, but, for some reason, the Sharks still like Mike Brown enough that, they want to keep him around to plug him in whenever they think they need some extra face punching.
Yeah, at the beginning of the game, I remember seeing him throw a couple of those hits that were a little wild, and I was like, he's going to do something stupid tonight. I could just see it. What did you think, Gentry?
I thought he was pretty much what I expected him to be, which was a total non-factor. He took a dumb penalty, and it ended up costing us in the long run. And the Sharks just and they were double shifting, players after that. They were double shifting the first line because they were sitting bench the entire time. So if that was going to be the case, why put Brown into the lineup if you're just going to end up sitting him on the third and then double shifting all your best players?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't think he's the problem. He was really the problem tonight. He was a problem. There were bigger problems. Ian, you mentioned it earlier, the face-off circle. What did you say, 1836 or something ridiculous?
Yeah, something like 30. I have the percentage in front of me. 36% in the dot for the Sharks, which is completely uncharacteristic of the Sharks. And you can't, it's hard to get possession and win games when you're not winning face-offs because then you're already starting behind the play. You got to get the puck back, and it's you can't win like that.
Yeah, and I look at the numbers here on the box score. They got outshot, they got out hit, which that's really bad because it's okay to get out hit if you're out shooting the team because that means if you have the puck more, you're going to get hit more. But they got outshot, they got out hit, and they lost in the face-off dot 32-18. Just all around. It didn't look as. There's been worse games. He's like the Winnipeg game. I think you guys remember that one.
For sure.
Where it just that was a brutal game to watch. This one didn't have that feel to it of this team is completely lost and has no direction. But tonight, yeah, they definitely just look like the Hurricanes always look like they're one step faster. better, better in the corners. Like on that first goal, he said that wasn't really Jones' fault because
No.
the ridiculous deflections there, but and DeBoer was mad that you could see, and it was because everything that led up to that, they weren't doing a good job in their own zone. They weren't, first power play Carolina had, they were getting a lot of really good passes and they didn't score, but they came damn close. The defensive effort, the defensive zone coverage was kind of lacking as well, in addition to all those other things I just mentioned.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's the injuries are starting to pile up now. That's the problem. We had this problem earlier in the year, and now it's starting to happen. You have Wingles out, you have a Dylan out. I mean, for all the crap I say about Dylan, him and DeMello really settled things down, I thought, on the back end. And now Tennyson, he's done okay, and I don't have Tennyson stuff in front of me, but I think that but you can only go so far on third, second string players that normally wouldn't make the lineup.
Especially on a back-to-back. I mean,
right.
So Carolina had back-to-back too, but back-to-back situations when you have a couple injuries stacking up, that is a hard spot. And they have 2 days off, which should give them plenty of time to get. I forget who they play next.
St. Louis.
St. Louis.
Plenty of time to get. Yeah, they'll probably be in St. Louis tonight because they have plenty of time to fly to St. Louis from there. That's like a 3-hour flight. So they'll get into St. Louis tonight probably. They'll get a good night's rest, get a practice in tomorrow, or something like that.
Or
but
they'll probably get the day off tomorrow and then practice Sunday. Then they'll be ready for a game on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
And I think maybe that will be a nice bounce back game for them on Monday because for the most part we have done pretty well against St. Louis.
Yep.
So I think they'll bring their A game. Let's hope that this is just a hiccup on the road, and then you bring it against a as everybody has been calling them, a Stanley Cup contender, St. Louis. Because if you beat them, I think that kind of boosts your confidence just a little bit more.
Yeah, I like their chances to get back on track. With 2 days off, I think that's plenty of time. So yeah, I'm not worried. Like I'll start worrying when the losses start stacking up, or when we start seeing like bad losses. Like this, I mean, I think technically the score is about the same as that Winnipeg game, but like I said, the feel was different. It was not the same kind of loss. Like that was a loss.
Yeah, the game against the Jets, they just didn't seem in it at all. Whereas the game tonight they were in it for the majority of it, and even when they weren't, they were still kind of doing the little things correctly. It was just a lot of bad puck luck and some bad defensive choices in Mike Brown. So I think it's a combination of things. It wasn't just nobody showed up. It was just bad luck.
And the top line didn't. The top line can't carry the team every game, and the top line was terrible tonight.
Yeah, I mean, normally, like, you can tell a loss is really bad when even me and Ian can't pick up good stuff off that carcass. But there were positives tonight. Like, I mean, statistically, it looks pretty bad, but they did not, like, the eye test was not a complete failure. Like, there were moments there where they didn't look so good, but overall, the eye test didn't like say this is a horrible team that has no business winning games. So that I'll be an optimist here and just say, like, based on what we've seen for the last 2 months since that Winnipeg game, really, like, they lost the next game to Detroit, but since then they have a pretty good mark. Somehow I forget, it's 13 something, something to that effect. It's pretty darn good since then. So I'll opt to wait and see and be optimistic on this one because I'm not too worried.
Now, here's a question, and I know this is going to sound a little bit, premature, saying how many games do we have left in the season? We've got less than 20, right?
20? Wow, yeah, probably that.
So I believe we have like 25 because I think this is like game 56 or 57. So
26 games left.
Okay, 26. Yep, that's close.
Okay, so roughly at what point do we start saying what the magical number is for the Sharks to clinch a spot in the playoffs potentially? Like, are we starting to get like more to like 15, 10 games left in the season, or
probably not, at least for another 10 games or so? Because I mean, you look at like Vancouver, they're 13 points back, 11 points back of us. They're 11 points back of us. We don't have a game in hand at the moment. So with that many points, 25 games or 20, let's say 26 games, that's 52 potential points. Yeah, probably wait another 10 games or so before we can start thinking about that too much. But I
It's
mean,
difficult too though because we have so many divisional games in March. Like half the schedule in March is divisional games. You got basically, if you include like coming up, you have five against Vancouver. If Vancouver takes all five of those games, they're right back in it.
yep. Vice
You know.
versa. On the opposite side, though, they take care of business against those teams.
Right.
They're in. Like if they if they win 4 out of 5 against Vancouver, or even 3 out of 5, they just win the series against them, against Arizona. They'll be just fine. Like I
Yeah.
think they have 2 or 3 games left against Arizona, so I think they'll be just fine as long as they don't give those games to Vancouver. They'll probably clinch.
It's their spot
Isn't
to
it weird?
lose.
Yeah, and also, isn't it kind of weird that we're having all this Vancouver series not until March?
Oh yes, we've touched on that a few times.
I know, but it's still it's like, wow, guys, get your scheduling together. But I mean, that's it. I think you got to shake this one off. Rest over the
Thank you, Taylor.
weekend, and you get. Yeah.
Chad Puck guy open up with that. But so what about the trade deadline? I believe that's pretty soon. I'm trying to look it up quickly here on
It's
the
the 20th.
So we have
Yeah.
what, a week from Monday, or a week from
So
Sunday.
I think a week from Monday. I think it'd be a week from Monday because I don't think they would put it on Sunday. But NHL trade deadline.
The
coming
29th
up.
is a Monday.
I think we all know what's on our wish list, right? A defenseman and, preferably PK Subban, and a actual backup goaltender. I don't know. At this point, though, is our biggest need a backup goaltender? Because
I mean, let's listen to the baby in the background. I think that's probably a better guess. No, I think we do need a backup goaltender, and I think those are I wouldn't say those are fairly easy to find, but they're out there, and teams are willing to deal them. But I think the defenseman is going to be the rough part. Getting a potential top four, just getting a depth defenseman to kind of care and to come in. That's going to be the rough part, and you've got to give up something. And who on the Sharks roster is expendable, other than Winkles, but he's out for the foreseeable future.
I think probably their best piece that they're willing to let go would probably be number 12, if I had to guess. But I don't know. I don't know what he could actually fetch. You'd figure it'd have to be a team that would be really wanting a winger and hoping he can get his scoring touch going, because it's been a little up and down this season.
So you're saying a team like Chicago? They are...
Duncan Keith from Arlo straight up.
Oh, God. That would be a dream, but I doubt it.
Yeah, no, that's not.
No,
Chicago seems like a possible place. Like they always like have a they always are grabbing wingers and stuff pretty good. But I don't know.
They have been the guys on TSN always say that Marleau would be a perfect fit on that top winger spot with Hossa and Taves, and I'm thinking yes, and I'm hoping somebody pulls the trigger and maybe Marleau will want to move because here's the thing is that Chicago has the everything that you would need. Like they have the pieces set to make a good trade for Marleau. I mean, you could get a defenseman out of it. You could get Teuvo Teravainen and maybe a pick.
Yeah, if they wanted him, they could. That would be a good destination, and he'd be stupid to say no if they actually try to trade him there. Because one, you can, if you're worried about the whole family thing, Chicago's a big hub. You can get back to San Jose no problem. You can get direct flights from Chicago. It's not an all-day affair to go back and forth between here and there in San Jose. And it got Hanzus a ring. It got Desi a ring.
I mean,
that would be kind of cool. Actually, that's one reason I wouldn't mind seeing, because maybe get Marleau rings. I would like to see him actually get to retire with a ring.
Yeah.
The one thing with that though, and the only issue is that Marleau isn't a rental. He's got another year at 6. They can't afford that going into next. They could do it now because of the prorated salaries at the for the remainder of the season, but they can't afford that contract going into next year.
It's true.
That's true. That's why but they have the assets and everything like that they can move. You've got Shaw, you've got TiVo Teravainen, so you can. I mean, they've made they've made it work for them, and that's why they've always stayed on top. And then you still got Panarin, who's still on his entry level deal. So you have Marleau for an extra season.
Yeah, but you're talking. I mean, we're talking about a cap that could decrease next year too. Which I don't know. I can't see, unless if they could move him again, and if they could get him a cup and then move him in the off season to somewhere else. But I don't know. I just with the cap, with so many question marks with what the cap's actually going to be next year because of the Canadian dollar, and there's rumors that it could go down by $4 million. I mean, they're going to be in a lot of pain if that actually happens.
I think a lot of teams are going to be in a lot of pain if that happens. So I don't know, but Gen X wants to know what you're smoking, Gentry. It's like pot's legal in California. It's like,
No, I'm in the wrong state for that. That's in Colorado.
Our good friend Dr. Jackal always being the Debbie Downer of the group here. And drinking terrible beer. Anyways, Slushy had said he sent you a question, Ian, so might as well get Slushy's Corner out of the way here.
All right. I gotta get in here.
So while you're pulling that up, though, I came up with my own useless trivia that during the game here, just for funsies. So in the last 10 years, who leads the Sharks on games they play during a full moon on the road?
Wait, say that again.
In the last 10 years, on the road, full moon, who leads the Sharks in goals? And I'm dead serious.
I'm just gonna go with Marleau because he's been here the longest.
I'm gonna go with Logan Couture.
You'd actually both be wrong, though. Gentry is pretty close. Marleau has 12. Pavelski has 13.
Oh, I was gonna say that's brutal. All right. So,
Pavelski is a great performer on the full moon. He has 18 goals in the last 10 years. So
what you're saying
good
is
for
that
Pavelski.
he's a vampire, or not
Basically.
a vampire, but he's a werewolf. Sorry.
All right, so the slushy question is, which team did Douglas Murray score his first NHL goal against? A, the Blue Jackets, B, the Montreal Canadiens, C, the Philadelphia Flyers?
I will go with the Blue Jackets.
I'm going to go Montreal.
You would be both wrong. The answer is C, the Philadelphia Flyers.
Ah.
And then he has his funny question where he says, since Doug Wilson is so retarded, who do you think he'd rather sign, Mike Brown or John Scott?
Both.
Yeah, the correct answer is yes.
Yes. And just while I still have it here,
I'm going to go with C, all of the above.
all of the above. Hockey Jerk messaged us and said Perinen is still on his ELC, but his performance bonuses will hurt Chicago's cap for sure, and I believe that to be true.
Oh, yeah.
So one last follow-up to Slushy's Corner here. Who do you think is the leading defenseman for the Sharks when the full moon is out?
Current roster or all time?
Last 10 years.
I'm going to go with Dan Boyle, but just because why the fuck not?
Me too.
Dan Boyle is correct. He's tied with someone, though.
Yes!
Bam.
Any guess who the other one is, Ian?
Brent Burns.
Depends on how technical you want to be, because he has two of those goals. He has three tied with Dan Boyle, but two of those were as a forward. So as a forward on the full moon, Burns is really good actually. But the other person is Christian Ehrhoff.
Christian Ehrhoff, eh? He actually hit the net?
Yep, occasionally he hit the net. I have no idea when that actually happened, but I guess the stars align and the moon and all that stuff. Yes. So there we go. You have Slushy's Corner. You know now more about the Sharks and full moons than you ever thought you would know. I'll gladly share the spreadsheet if you really want to see.
What you're saying is that the only way the Sharks can win Stanley Cups is if, it's a full moon.
Basically.
Yeah, all right. So Let's hope
Oh.
they plan it to the lunar cycle.
It's 33 games and Pavelski has 18 goals, so he's actually he scores over half the time when there's a full moon out. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe Pavelski is a
I've always joked about
normal for something.
like a stat that involved the full moon, so I'm glad it's actually happened now.
Yep, I my wife is really just like, what the hell are you doing? Like, just because I can. Because I can, damn it.
Absolutely.
So
No,
there you
we've
go.
officially lost our minds.
That's when it happened.
Oh god. So anyhow, let's.
Just trying to see if there's anything
Anyhow.
else on the Twitters.
Yeah.
Yeah, check to see if there's anything else on the Twitter or anything else we need to discuss, because this is second half of back-to-back, so we don't want to beat anything to death that was already talked about last night.
But I wasn't here last night. I don't want to talk about things from last night.
Neither
Yeah.
was I.
Well, Felix is saying Sharks trivia mythology, Chris. Yep. Basically, yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Laurel saying full moon just means that everyone has to pee. Mom used to say that.
Here's a good one.
Okay.
That we should look up is who has the most goals post Teal career?
That would probably be a depressing thing. I don't know. I mean, any guesses? I'm gonna guess Owen Nolan's probably got a lot.
Ray Whitney.
Oh, actually, yeah, Ray Whitney.
Let's see. I don't know. I'm gonna go with. No, not that one. I don't know. I mean, I was gonna go with Dan Boyle, but I'm like, he's kind of faltering right now on the Rangers.
Yeah, I doubt it would be Dan Boyle. Sorry, buddy. I know you love Boyle, but I'm trying to think of who. I guess me in the more recent times, because probably Ray
Fraser
Whitney.
McLaren.
Yeah,
McLaren.
I almost guarantee that Ray Whitney is probably number one and Owen Nolan's probably number two. But more recently, I'm trying to think who's left the Sharks and had massive success. Oh, I know, Danny Heatley. Oh,
No.
yeah, he had a great career as a fourth liner on Minnesota.
Maybe Devin Setaguchi, but I doubt that.
No, he's fallen off the map since. Is he even on our team right now? I remember last year he was on Winnipeg as a regular scratch. So.
Oh, Timo. Yeah, Timo might.
Oh yeah, Timo. Yeah, that's probably.
That could be your answer.
Yeah.
Mark Messier doesn't count. He never played the game.
Yeah, I was gonna say Mark Messier. I don't think so. No. Yeah, I would say not Setaguchi. Rocket saying Desi.
Desi.
Well, this just
Brandon
reminds me of the stat that Davalos brings up all the time, that Rafi Torres has more goals in the Stanley Cup Finals than the Sharks do.
Oh, that hurts my heart.
Thrum. Sad face. Okay. Anything else we need to touch on, guys? I mean, we could probably make this a short one because, like I said, it's back to back, and we don't want to beat this one to death too hard because been there, done that.
Any other questions, you people in the chat? Anything you guys want us to hit quick?
Daniel Laurel first dude. Daniel James Danny Heatley. Is that actually his full name? Oh yeah, Chichu actually registered on the full moon thing as well.
Wow.
Yeah. Fleshy was bringing up Chichu there in the chat. Riss Miller.
Oh God.
And no, we're not answering that, Slushy. We're not. I see your question. We're not answering that. Stop trying to ruin our show, damn it, Slushy. Anyways, okay. So I guess
If you never did a show during the daytime, what time would it be?
Oh God.
Early. You guys would be like eating your cereal or something, I'm sure.
Yeah, no. If your daytime is like 5 a.m. for us or something, right?
It's like 3 hours behind. Kings lost.
Is it always dark up there in Canada?
No, not where I live, thankfully. I'd lose my mind. Oh, do we have any standings graphics or anything like that?
Nope, no high production value tonight.
Currently, right now, Calgary's leading the Vancouver 3-2. Philadelphia and Montreal are in OT. The Islanders shut out the Devils 1-0, and then Buffalo shut out the Blue Jackets 4-0.
There you have it.
Yep.
All right, take us home.
All right. Oh, I was gonna say if you guys had any final thoughts, but we can go off air now.
Final thoughts. Everything's awesome.
Yeah, everything's great. Everything's awesome. Gentry.
Bad game, but got some days off. Let's do it. Let's put up a better effort against St. Louis.
Yep, agreed. So with that, we'll take it home. Sharks lose 5-2 to the Carolina Hurricanes. Meh effort on a back-to-back. Probably should have played Stalock, but it's okay. Everything's awesome, like Ian says. The Sharks get into St. Louis tonight or tomorrow morning. They play Monday night at 5 p.m. Pacific time. We'll be here probably around 8 p.m. Pacific time talking about everything once again. If you're new here, feel free to subscribe below. Hit the little button. It helps us a lot. And thanks, everyone, for watching.